The next circle is our social relationships. These are people, we know them a little bit better. We know them by name. These might be people we work with or people we see on a regular basis. And we have enough of a relationship with these kinds of people that we talk to them, like maybe ask them a couple questions, know some things that are going on in their lives, but they're not really our close friends. They're probably not people we would go out to dinner with. Probably not people we would invite into our homes or go into their homes. Not because we don't like them. That's what our relationship is with them. We know them, and that's that. And you probably have people like that here. People that you see on Sunday, and you're happy to see them, and you talk to them for a brief time, but that's about the extent of the relationship. Now, understand this. As we go from each circle to the next, the number of people we have in that circle gets smaller. And that's important because it takes more investment to maintain each type of relationship. It takes more investment to maintain a social relationship than it does a public relationship. So I can't have as many people in that circle. If I have 1,000 people in my public relationship sphere, that's okay, because it doesn't take any effort to maintain those relationships. I just have to smile and say hi. I can't have 1,000 people in my social relationship. My mind would blow up trying to keep all that information straight. I can't even remember my own kids' names sometimes, let alone 1,000 people. And so I don't have as many people in that sphere of relationship. Now, the next sphere is a much closer sphere. This is what we would call our personal relationships. Now, these are the people that you would say, these are my friends. The people who you go to their house, they come to your house, you have dinner together, you know them on a really close level. We have friends, Marianne and I have friends who we would say are in this circle of relationship, and they are today on their way to Disney World, and we wish we were going with them. But their kids think they're going to Great Wolf Lodge. And I told them, I'll bet those kids, won't you feel bad if they're disappointed when they get to Disney World? But we were in on the secret all along, and we even helped them out by talking to their kids about Great Wolf Lodge, because we know each other well. We spend time together. Our kids are together all the time. They're in that personal sphere of relationship. Now, here's the interesting thing. This is really crucial for us to understand this. In the public relationship and in the social relationship, we really don't formalize the relationships. And what I mean by that is we don't really take steps to intentionally do things together. And that's okay, because like I said, we don't have time to have everybody in our personal relationships. Our minds would blow up. But in those outside relationships, we don't take any particular specific actions to deepen or develop the relationships. But when we have people who are in that personal sphere of relationships, we formalize the relationship. Right? We call each other. We set up times to be together. We have appointments. We do stuff. We're concerned about each other. If someone in your personal sphere of relationships is in the hospital, you go and you visit, and you're concerned with them. That relationship is formalized. Now, this is where we tie it together. In biblical community, we can have biblical community with all of these relationships. If you look at the one another commands, some of the one another commands can be carried out in the public relationships. You can greet one another in the public relationships. You can encourage one another. You can carry them out in the social relationships. But when we get to the personal relationships, that's where we formalize things. And the same is true in biblical community. That's where we should formalize things. That's why with people in your personal relationships, you should really be sharing your life. And we go back to what we talked about earlier, that's where you can have victory over sin. Now, you're not going to do that in here, right? If I were to say today, all right, let's practice this community thing, I want everybody to stand up, find a random person, and confess your deepest and darkest sin to them. No. You know what? If I were to break you down into groups of about 50 or 60, and say, get in a group of 50 or 60 with people that you know, and then I was to say, okay, to this group of 50 or 60, confess your deepest and darkest sin. No. Because even in that social relationship, you know what? Maybe even if I said, I want you to get together with the 8 people you're closest to in this room and confess your deepest and darkest sin. Even then, a lot of us would be hesitant, wouldn't we? because we haven't formalized those relationships at that point yet. But there is one more relationship. It's the intimate relationship. And typically we think of this as a spousal relationship, but it goes beyond that. These are the people with whom we are so close that there is no fear when we confess those deepest and darkest things. The people with whom we have no secrets. And the reality is we have 1, 2, maybe 3 of these in our lives. People with whom we are so close that we can tell them and share anything with them. And these are beautiful relationships when you have them. The reality is, for most of us, our closest relationships are at that personal level. And that's not with a ton of people. That may be 15, 20 people who get into that circle. Those are the people that you need to really invest your life into. And those are the people you need to allow to invest their lives into you so that you can live the fruitful life. Understand, it's great to have all those relationships. But when we get down to it, it's those personal relationships. That's where we say that's where true growth can happen. You know what? Little commercial here. That's why we're so excited about life groups at Calvary. Because life groups can provide that personal relationship where you can share your life on a deeply meaningful level for the purpose of growing spiritually and living the fruitful life. I can't live the fruitful life if I don't live in Jesus. And I can't live in Jesus if I'm not loving one another. And the best way I love one another is with these people who I'm most close to, where I can really invest my life into them. Community happens at all these levels. And so there's no set size, there's no set shape for community. But community happens at all different places, in all different kinds of relationships. What's important for us to understand is what kind of relationship we're in. I'm not going to try to have the same kind of community with someone in my public relationships as I am with my personal relationships. The sixth thing everyone should know about community is that community provides a positive environment in which Christians can live out their faith together. Liam's playing baseball this year. It's been kind of fun. He played t-ball last year. This is his first year playing real baseball. And he's got a great coach. First day of practice, the coach gathers all the kids and he sits them down. He says, all right, guys, I want you to understand something here. We only use nice words with each other. We only say nice things to each other. If somebody messes up, we don't yell at them, we encourage them. And he does this before every practice. It's great. He says, now remember, guys, the best place in the world to mess up is when you're with your friends. Boy, is that a powerful statement? The best place in the world to mess up is when you're with your friends. You see, real community should provide us with an environment that says the church is the best place in the world to mess up. Wouldn't that be great? You know, unfortunately, in a lot of people's eyes, most of the people who are outside of the church, that's not how they see the church. For a lot of people, they look at the church and instead of seeing, they'll know they are Christians by their love, people see the church and says, you'll know they are Christians by their judge.